Hey, what's up, Fight Family? This is Contemplate Boxing. So, it seems every so often, more often than what we would prefer as boxing fans, as fight fans in general, or just fans of sport in general, we end up having an all too familiar conversation. And that's whenever a fighter ends up dying in the ring or dying due to injuries sustained in the ring. We know that on yesterday, a very young fighter, 18 years old, in fact, Jeanette Zapata, passed away after succumbing to injuries that she sustained in her last bout on August 28th. I don't know if you've seen the video. Of course, anytime somebody dies or is seriously injured in the ring, it's always very disturbing. Always very disturbing. And very often, we will do posts, we'll do videos saying rest in peace, well wishes to the family. We're praying for the family, and that's good. We should do those things. We should, pay homage. We should render respect. We should pay respect to the fighter and their families and everybody that loved these individuals. I think there's something else, another conversation that we really need to start having, though, when some of these fighters pass away. When Jeanette Zapata, when she fell into a coma, she started seizuring. I became very curious about what her past activity was. So I kind of took a look, at at her past record. Before the 28th, I think less than 3 months ago, she had already been stopped. So immediately, one question that I had was, all right, why is she fighting less than 3 months after being stopped? Not only that, but the woman that she was stopped against, that she was knocked out against, who unfortunately um, she was killed by, she was an undefeated fighter. And back in May, she was stopped by an undefeated fighter, a little bit less than 30 days after being stopped. Uh, so one thing that I question is, why was she back in the ring against another undefeated fighter that soon? What was happening with the matchmaking? Off the top, on paper, this looks like a mismatch. And so one of the questions that I really have is, why was this allowed? But not only that, when I looked a little bit further, prior to her loss in May to an undefeated fighter, her last fight was, I believe, in November 2018, and that was against Alma Ibarra. So that long out of the ring, and in her comeback fight, she fights an undefeated fighter, gets stopped by her, but then after that, less than 3 months later, she fights another undefeated fighter and gets stopped by her. And she's only 18. So if she's only 18, that means that back in 2018, how old was she? And she's fighting somebody like Alma Ibarra. Alma Ibarra is a contender at this point, who was also, I don't think she was undefeated at that time. But what I'm getting at is the matchmaking. These mismatches, these gross mismatches that get put together in boxing that cause damage like this. We saw a horrible mismatch. What was it? I think last year during the pandemic, when we saw Senesa Estrada fight some lady. I can't even remember her name, and it was one of the quickest knockouts that we had seen on DAZN, and everybody, got real excited. And the woman didn't even belong in the ring. She didn't even look like she could hold a proper boxing stance. And Senesa Estrada came in and just blasted her out of there. That's a dangerous mismatch. So here we have Miss Jeanette Zapata, forgive me. She's coming in on a 2-fight loss streak before she fights on August 28th. Back in May, she was stopped. And then back in 2018, her last fight, before that, she was stopped, if I'm remembering correctly when I looked at this. She shouldn't have been in the ring with this lady, with an undefeated fighter. The matchmaking should not have been done that way, I don't think. And this is just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. You guys tell me. But not only that, but to fight this individual, she also dropped down a division, it seems, in order to meet this foe. And everything just seemed very wrong about that whenever I was looking at this. And I don't think this fight ever should have happened. Um, in women's boxing, particularly, one of the big complaints has been the gross mismatches that happen. These individuals that get put up against fighters that they have no chance against. Record padding. We're familiar with record padding in both women's boxing and men's boxing. But one of the complaints in women's boxing is that record padding it is just rampant. Rampant in both sports. And it's dangerous on both ends. But I mean, this seemed like to another level. Boxing, we got to do better. We have to do better because somebody paid the price for it. Somebody paid the price, and she was only 18 years old. 18 years old. She barely started life. This woman was barely an adult. So, I know there's a lot of stuff that I'm missing. I don't know her. I don't know, her management team. I don't know her coach or any of her circle or anybody that was around her. So I know I'm missing a lot of the pieces to the puzzle. I'm just contemplating on it and just sharing my thoughts, just my opinion. But boxing, we got to do better. And I think as fans, we owe it to these fighters to demand that these gross mismatches stop happening. I mean, because it does nothing but damage these fighters. It does nothing but damage these fighters. Fighters can gain experience without fighting what we would call no-hopers. You can gain experience by going up against somebody a little bit closer to your talent level, to your skill level. And truth be told, that actually will make for better fights in the sport. Yes, there may be less fighters that will go 35-0, 36-0, 33-0. You'll start seeing fighters that are like 18-3, 14-5. You'll start seeing top prospects that are probably like 12-3. But things like what happened with Miss Jeanette Zapata probably won't happen as much. The sport may be a little bit safer for fighters such as her. Again, these are just my thoughts. Fight family, let me know what you think. Please hit the like, subscribe, give me your thoughts. Hit the like, thumbs down, whichever. Peace. God bless.